Unchanged. Radlinski at full-back. Price, Connolly, Senior and Johnson the three-quarter line. It's Sculthorpe and Sinfield at half-back. The forward pack is O'Connor, Forshaw and McDermott. Joint, Peacock and Farrell the captain. And on the bench, Wellens, who didn't take part in last week's test. Richard Horne, Paul Anderson and Stuart Fielden. The coach is David Waite. Now the men from down under, the Australian Kangaroos. They have Lockyer at fullback. Takiri, Gidley, Lyon and McDougall is their three-quarter line. Barrett and Johns at half. Changing the forwards, Jason Riles is in for the suspended Jason Stevens. It's Buduris and Cairns the front row. Carlaw, Kennedy second row. And Brad Fittler is the loose forward and captain. And the bench, Brad Myers, who takes Stevens' number 8 jersey. Anasta, Bella and Sivanasiva. The coach is Chris Anderson. Well, there they are, the two teams. Phil Clark, the Great Britain manager on the left. Behind him, David Waite. The mascot then, Andy Farrell and Chris Radlinski. And on the other side of the field, of course, the green and golds from Australia. Desperate traffic problems around this ground this evening, apparently. And many of the supporters outside, battling their way to get in here, will know now that the test match is about to get underway. Great Britain have been here 3 times previously and never got the job done. 73, 90 and 94. They were also one up in 1967. And remarkably, Andrew Farrell wasn't even born the last time that Great Britain held the Ashes.
Skills of Paul Sculthorpe, but as everyone has been saying, especially the Great Britain coach David Waite, the Aussies will improve, of course they will. It was most unlike an Australian side making too many errors, but Great Britain have a lot of room for improvement too, and I think we will see this tonight, but this is going to be a tough opener. Don't worry, they've got to make these young Aussies realise they are in a tough test match, and that spells fireworks in the opening 10-15.
Bill Harrigan knows that as well. It's going to be Great Britain who will kick off. They will attack as we watch from right to left in this first half. Britain, of course, got off to the perfect start last week. A try within the first 2 minutes for Jamie Peacock, which just happened to earn his amateur club Stanningley a £1,000 bonus from the series sponsors. So they profited, and Great Britain profited for a quicksilver start. Can they do it again? Paul Sculthorpe with the kick-off. This second Guinness test is underway. Trent Barrett tips the ball inside. Here's Robbie Kearns, and leading the way inevitably was Barry McDermott.
And what a hit it was from the prop forward. It's so important to get a good smash in early.
And McDermott did that. Johns gets it away though to Kennedy. Connolly is there to haul him down with a little bit of help from Leon Price.
See different tactics there. You could see the utilising the dummy run of the Australians very early in the possession. And it was Kennedy that was looping on the second phase.
A high up and under from Andrew Johns. Radlinski is after this. He got the call in, he got the ball as well. Well taken by the British fullback. Now they will have use of the football for the first time.
That'll lift not only the fullback's confidence, but also his teammates. It was a real tester. They had to make the fullback run for it. In the first test, Australia's kicking game was all awry.
And here is Farrell in centre field. He bounces off Johns. Good tackling though by Johns and Kennedy. Great Britain still inside their own half of the field. Forshaw, so important, gets the ball away to Farrell. Keeps the movement going here to Sculthorpe, who cuts down the middle. A lot of the talk in the Australian camp this week has been about how to stop Sculthorpe, how to stop Farrell. That seems to be the Aussies' game plan. Hoist to the far side from Farrell, a bit too deep though. It's a tester for Takiri, and Takiri with no pressure on him whatsoever takes it.
Just a little bit too deep there from the Great Britain captain. But you can see quite clearly that Takiri, who had a bit of a nightmare in that first test, He's going to be the man targeted yet again tonight, and rightly so.
Kennedy will bring the ball up the middle. Good tackle, though, by Andrew Farrell. There is Chris Anderson, the Australian coach. Now the 36th member of the Halifax Hall of Fame. A dinner for the 1987-88 Wembley teams on Wednesday night, and Anderson was inducted into the Blue Sox Hall of Fame down there at the Shea. Here is Johns. Dab over the top, and it's behind Johnson, and he has to scurry back. And he gets it close to his own try line. Good chase here, but he did well to get away from Gidley. And in the end, he's collared by Badiris, who was hunting.
Good struggle by the winner there. Well, Johnson, it's important, and yet we saw a much better kick yet again from the Australians. Well, you can hear all the crowd booing. Bill Halligan said he'd taken back 10. He criticised Connor last week, and boy, oh boy, it's a pretty short 10 for them.
Well, he made his comments in the papers, and Mr. Harrigan will falter or will prosper on his performance tonight. Sculthorpe with the kick, but it's a hoof just straight down the middle, and Lockyer has it, and he has plenty of open territory ahead of him. Runs the ball back, gets a good ball away to Takiri, but that's well done by Leon Price. He stood his ground, and with Sculthorpe, the winger hit the deck.
Bit ominous though, Eddie. The two kicks that Great Britain have had, not the very best. The ones that have come from Australia, they've been tip-top.
Here is Kennedy. Cuts inside. Joint stood his ground with O'Connor. Kennedy takes the tackle.
And what work Joint did in that first test. In the first half, 23 tackles. Repeat, please, Mr. Joint.
A flicked out the back door pass from Riles. Kearns onto Barrett, and he got it away to Carlaw. Good tackling by Kevin Sinfield on Carlaw. Fittler will go left. He finds Johns with the stab through. Radlinski was waiting. Good position from the British fullback there.
He's not classified as the best in the world, Radlinski. And that's the reason why I think his opposite number, Darren Lockyer, who was not at his best in that first test. He was outplayed by Radlinski. And they've been looking for a better performance from Lockyer. But Radlinski, he reads the game ever so well.
Farrell, good ball on the inside.
What a hit!
Big hit by Kennedy.
Helped out by Robbie Kearns, and the fullback felt it.
Here's Forshaw now. Oh, he gets the ball away. It was risky, and Sculthorpe did well and bravely got down on all fours to pick that ball up. And Farrell with the angled kick again to target Takiri, but this time the hands are safe. And Takiri takes them on. Peacock is there. Connolly is there. And they ground him 10 metres inside his own half. But I'm with you, Steve-o, the kicking not been crashed on yet.
I've got the impression that there may be something wrong with Andy Farrell. If that's the case, they want to shift the kicking responsibilities very quickly indeed.
Big hit by McDermott. Jason Riles felt that. Here now is Badiris. He gets the ball away to Kearns, who tries to make the hard yards up the middle. Halted, though, by the tackle from Kevin Sinfield.
Not surprising. Danny Badiris running more from dummy half already than what he did in that first test.
Oh, they get the ball away. Here's Fittler. Fittler dipped inside Radlinski. First try to the Australians. They're back. The Australians are back. A beautiful inside pass, and Brad Fittler. He doesn't want to go home as the first Test captain since Keith Barnes in '59 to lose an Ashes series in Great Britain, and he's got them off to a great start.
We were very slow in the first and second markers there, and the combination of Andrew Johns and Brad Fittler and the skill from the Australian captain. Look at the step here. Beautiful pass there from the prop, but look at the step off the left. Not had the best season down under, but when it counts, he digs deep, and boy, oh boy, the Aussies needed that. That was good quality play.
So Andrew Johns, 55 goals for Australia, make that 56. And the Australians have the early lead that Great Britain enjoyed just 6 days ago. Great Britain 0, Australia 6.
Total confusion, first and second markers, more intent in trying to talk their way out of it. And when they slipped back, you could see there that Sinfield was caught out. And soon as they sucked in Barry McDermott, it was always going to be on. They gave us a 1-2 sucker punch back on the inside. We failed to move up and close them down. Great try.
Yes, terrific try from the Australians. Kennedy in possession for them. Badiris is the dummy half. Kearns runs at Sinfield, bounces off the Leeds youngster, and there waiting for him was Forshaw and also Terry O'Connor. Bill, you've got some news on the try scorer Fittler.
Well, a hamstring injury that Brad Fittler has been nursing all week doesn't seem to be causing him too many problems on the evidence of that try. Fittler has just suffered a bit of a tweak of the hamstring in training, but as I say, he's trained all week and he looks pretty good to me.
The left thigh is strapped, but not too heavily strapped. Here is Barrett, this is Kennedy, and Kennedy looks to get the ball away and does to Lockyer. Lockyer has got Radlinski, he's missed him, and that's a good tackle back by Sculthorpe on Robbie Kearns.
Had to be, it was a try saver.
They're still not done yet though. Here is Lockyer. He's lost it. Ball is lost forward. They got the touchdown nonetheless, but the ball was lost forward by Lockyer.
Well, they're cutting us to ribbons. Not the best attempt from Sinfield there. He had him all ends up and just lost control of it. Big let-off for Great Britain there, and the two coaches know it.
David Waite, Brian Noble, and just coming up to 8 minutes gone, and it's a little different 8 minutes than we had this time last week from a British point of view. But Australia ahead, 6-0, bouncing back as we knew they would. And look at the possession in the opposition half. Great Britain hardly over the halfway line yet. Here now is O'Connor to drive the ball forward. He was influential last week, as was Bradley McDermott. This is the last tackle though for Britain, and the kick this time is from Sculthorpe. Over the top of McDougall between him and Lockyer. Lockyer, the man who picks it up on the bounce, and he will drive it back, but only as far as Chris Joynt and Keith Senior.
Well, I think I've been vindicated by the fact that we saw there Paul Sculthorpe. Would have been a 40-20, but he was the man taking the responsibilities. And I think that Andy Farrell has gone into this game with an injury. They've kept it pretty quiet in the Great Britain camp, if that's the case.
Great ball. When they get the ball out wide, they look so dangerous. This is Jamie Lyon, but Connolly is there, and Price was a little bit late.
Well, they're good tactics by the Australians. They're not bothering to be sucked into a forward play. They're just keeping the ball and switching it as quickly as possible. In fact, they missed out 4 men there in 2 passes alone.
Great shout for a forward pass there, but I don't think it was.
No, nothing wrong with that at all.
This is Lockyer now for Australia. He gets the ball away to Gidley. He's faced by Senior. Out the back door it goes to McDougall. McDougall is grounded by Joynt, having a big game already in defence for Great Britain is Chris Joynt. Gidley gets it away off the floor to Johns, and it's a high kick to Tess Price. And Price waits, and he comes up with it. And he was under such pressure from Lottie Takiri there.
It looked for one moment there, Takiri took it. Connolly tried to put him off, but Takiri jumped high. Great take under pressure though, and that's what Great Britain are under. The Australian side, they have come out with all guns a-blazing.
Yes, they were stung by that defeat last week. They have trained very hard. There's the first penalty. And Andrew Jones having a second snap at the ankle. First penalty of the match, nearly 10 minutes gone. Unrelenting.
Well spotted there by Harrigan. This will be relief for the Great Britain boys. David Waite knows it, because once Australia get into a roll on, they are very difficult to stop. It has been a complete turnaround from what occurred in that first test.
Well, Jamie Peacock looks like he's got a problem with a contact lens. The news from the sideline, by the way, Steve-o, from the British medical team, is that Andrew Farrell has entered this match 100% fit. Never been better.
Well, he's just astray with his kicking game so far. They've got to get that sorted out. But most importantly, they've got to try to move in on the angle. They've got to stop Australia getting this ball out wide quickly.
Not as dominant in the forward pack yet. And it's tackling like that. But McDermott gets it away to Forshaw. But look at the Aussies. They're swarming around the ball carrier, hunting the possession. Here now is Connolly. Britain over halfway.
Much better play. More enthusiasm at the play of the ball. Australia won't get sucked into a forward game. They realised that. And when they realised it was far too late in that game at McAlpine last Sunday.
Here's Sinfield. Wide it goes to Farrell. And Farrell drops his shoulder nearly over the top of Barrett. Cairns was there to finish him off. The kick off the outside of the boot was from Sinfield, but it was too deep. It was over the try line, diffused in goal, and so Australia will start with the tap on the 20, and Kennedy will take the tackle from the 2 props, McDermott and O'Connor.
Well, the idea was okay, execution not all that good. That's where we really had Australia going backwards because of our kicking game.
It's Riles. Sculthorpe got the tackle in. Quick play the ball, been a feature of the Australian start to this second test. And the ball hardly out of play, as you can see. It's going to be a huge test of the players' fitness, both nations.
Much better defence there.
Last tackle.
You can see how the Australians are standing ever so deep. Normally the Australians play a flat game with the forwards. Not on this occasion. They want to get it out. Oh, nasty bounce.
Awful bounce. Awful bounce, and Price took it really well. Radlinski's got work to do and does it.
Good tackle by Jamie Lyon, the Australian centre.
Referee called all the Aussies onside then. Great Britain then looking to work this ball away with Johnson. And the boos are ringing around the Reebok. They're not happy with the referee getting these Australians onside. That could be British bias, to be fair.
Well, to be fair, I don't know why they're booing. We need it. The last thing that Great Britain need is for Bill Harrigan to make sure they're taking back 12 or 13. That'll give the Aussies more space to play.
Connolly! Brilliant tackle on Kikiri. Now this is a little bit of territory for Great Britain. Peacock, they go down the short side. Sculthorpe comes inside. He has to take the tackle there from Jamie Lyon, the 19-year-old from the Parramatta Eels.
Must say, a mistake yet again from Lofa Kikiri. It surprised me that Anderson selected him after the display in the first test. Oh, that's a nothing kick.
Peacock with the kick. It was very early. It was on the fourth tackle. And maybe he was looking for the speed of his Bradford Bulls clubmate Leon Price out wide.
Well, to be fair, the Great Britain side wouldn't realise that Peacock not noted a kicker. And when you come up with an individual little shot like that, it's not the best.
Johns gets away from Chris Joynt. He can't get away from Sinfield or from Peacock. Lockyer from dummy half. Here is Fittler, the try scorer. Gets it away. Good hands. Lockyer again. Britain aren't wrapping the ball up and aren't putting the pressure on the ball carrier as they did last weekend.
Well, they're hesitating in defence. They're not getting into their faces. And that's the first mistake from Gidley.
And Farrell has it. Brought to ground by Adam McDougall.
See, he just took the eyes off the ball. He could see that Keith Seeney was coming to him.
Gidley with the mistake. Great Britain with the possession. This is Paul Johnson. Whoa, Kearns was in there very quickly. So too was Trent Barrett. Woo, that looked a bit forward from Forshaw to O'Connor.
Certainly was. It was right on the line. Just a fraction.
Forshaw now, better pass to Sculthorpe, and he finds Radlinski, who jinks away from Johns, and Fittler is the man in with the tackle on him. It's Sculthorpe and dummy half. He'll run at this defence, gets the ball away. This is Stuart Fielden, who's been pitched on. Fielden, who had a magnificent game last week. Great Britain are about 15 metres away. Last tackle, Farrell, wide and to the touch judge. And Paul Johnson, well, he would have had to be about 8 foot tall to get that.
Great opportunity thrown away. And as you can see, far too high. No chance for Paul Johnson there. But you can see there that Adam McDougall, so much experience, he was right in the face of Johnson. Even if he'd have taken that football, I'm sure that McDougall, who's pretty strong in defence. But not the best pass from the GB skipper.
A lot of people looking for Andrew Farrell to really stand up and be counted as a Great Britain skipper tonight. 15.5 minutes gone. Australia ahead by 6 points to 0. In possession here with Kearns. Senior is there. O'Connor is there. Kearns makes a few more metres before he hits the deck. Lockyer off the ground. Johns with the kick. Straight down the middle though. Right down the throat of Radlinski under no pressure. Poor kick.
That's the first back one from Australia.
And here comes Radlinski now. A lot of people think that this is Great Britain's best option tonight to come out here and win the series, even though they have the comfort zone of next Saturday at Wigan. But a lot of people think this is the night for Britain. Well, at the moment it's 6-0 and a 16 minutes gone on the scoreboard with Sculthorpe. And here now is Peacock. And Peacock almost through, finished off by Ryle.
To be fair, Great Britain have weathered the storm. I think if Lockyer had gone in for that try instead of losing the football, it would have been extremely difficult for Great Britain to fight its way back into the match.
Farrell with a big high kick, and he's after this is Leon Price, but well claimed Takiri. And the big fella now will set off on a great run. Look at this fella go! Takiri is away. He gets the ball back to Johns. He's got support inside from Lockyer. Lockyer is there. Back it goes to Johns. This is a brilliant try. The crowd screaming for forward, but that is a truly brilliant try from Australia. Takiri took the high kick and launched the attack, and they just couldn't get a hand on him. And there were British players lying down like 10 pins. The skittles had gone, and from one end of the field to the other, wonderful handling skills from the Kangaroos.
Well, it was a high kick from Farrell. He gave them every opportunity. They had enough people around. Sinfield laid off. They all hung around. Farrell was caught. He had to commit himself for Adlinski, and Johns did ever so well. Nothing wrong with the passes. Might have been a bit of a doubt on that one there. It doesn't matter. Bill Harrigan said it was okay. You cannot let speed take its toll here. You have to get them down on the grass. They turn it back from defence into attack so many times to the Australians. That is a bitter blow to the British side. But a wonderful team effort from Australia.
Tries in both tests now for Andrew Johns. Lote Takiri, a try in his test debut against New Zealand at Wellington in July. Boy, did he produce the goods then from close to his own line that turned defence for Australia into attack. Now then, Andrew Johns with a very important kick. This for a 12-0 lead. And 12-0 it is. There's no problems for Andrew Johns. Fittler's try, Johns with the try, and Johns with 2 goals. It's 12-0.
Only 2 went through, Price and Sculthorpe. One Sculthorpe missed him. Look at Sinfield way back there. You can't afford to do that. He gets into top gear. You've got to squeeze them in. Give this guy space. He'll just rip you apart. It was a beautiful inside pass. And the best in the world certainly proved it there.
Sivanasiva has come on. A lot of people thought that maybe Sivanasiva would get a place from the start with Jason Stevens out suspended, but the vote went to Jason Riles.
Extra step. Come on, mate. Back to me.
And the referee, Bill Harrigan, talking to the Great Britain defensive line all the time. Here is Fittler. The Aussies have got a little spring in their step now. They're 12-0 up. Here's Sivanasiva again. And it was Sinfield who got the tackle in on him. They're going to come right, and the crowd here has gone just a little bit quiet. Johns with the kick. It bounces, and Price will try and run this ball past the 2 markers. Takiri is there, so too Jamie Lyon. Didn't make too much ground.
Good kick and chase there. Utilising the space out here.
Britain, though, Steve-O, playing one-out football at the moment.
Well, they're being forced into it, mainly due to the fact that they haven't had a lot of possession, but the Australian defence is pretty solid.
Here's Sculthorpe. Now it's Joint. Takes the tackle from Johns. Also there was Gidley. Come down the short side here with Senior. They're tackling ferociously tonight, Australia. Sculthorpe, it goes back to Farrell. He steps inside the 40-metre zone, but again, it's not the best kick. Although it bounces a little unkindly, Lockyer is able to swoop on that easily and brings it forward only as far as Sinfield. Midway through this first half, Australia ahead 12-0. Great Britain must be the next to score, you think?
They certainly do want that point on the board, but they look, well, not as sharp as what they looked in the first test.
Noticed in the warm-up, Steve-O, they just looked a little flat. They didn't seem to have the same vim about them as they did 6 days ago. Maybe that was just looking through 2 critical eyes.
Well,
I don't know.
To be fair, they're not as aggressive. They came out so aggressive last week.
Here they come again, Australia, with Fittler. Lovely ball back to Carlaw. Good job that Forshaw and Peacock were there. Lockyer's the dummy half. He's more involved tonight. So is Johns. The kick out wide is for McDougall, but that's easy for Paul Johnson. Diffuse it behind his own try line.
Bit of a wasted effort, really.
And here goes Johnson.
Well, Great Britain need to make a break against this solid defence. just to lift their spirits.
And it has been solid. Tackling like that from Fittler, and also there was Lyon on the British captain Farrell.
To be fair, Fittler is leading by example. He's had a wonderful game so far.
Well, he doesn't want to bow out from international football.
Oh, that was forward.
Losing an Ashes series. He's made that plain all week. Sculthorpe plays the ball on halfway. Here comes O'Connor. The big men, though, are not getting over the advantage line as they did at Huddersfield. Last tackle.
Biggest problem we're having, though, Eddie, is that the two halfbacks, Sculthorpe and Sinfield, they are not combining.
That's good play in the end. It's come off. It's still the last. Farrell will run it. They're waiting for the kick. He'll give it then to Senior. Back it goes to Johnson. Johnson, though, is wrapped up. Oh, he gets it away brilliantly. This now is Fielden, and Fielden will dump it over the top. And Radlinski will hack it forward.
What are we doing?
Jamie Lyon flicks it back to Carlaw. Great Britain lost the plot there, big style.
Real desperation, okay. It would have been a turnover, and Johnson got the ball away, and then they were an eternity to try to cover it up.
Just a panic. A real somebody pushed the panic button then for Great Britain. This is Brad Myers now. Got his chance because Jason Stevens is out suspended. Johns to Lockyer, that ball stuck, on it goes then to Gidley. Gidley gets it away to McDougall. Britain have it all to do in defence, and they do. Johnson and Farrell.
Again, we saw the skills of Gidley. Neat little offload to his winger McDougall.
Barrett, beautiful ball. Fittler stands, delivers it to Badeiras. Off it goes to Johns. Johns with the stab through. Johnson is there, and Johnson will shuttle the ball dead, drop out from underneath the sticks coming up for Great Britain.
Good pressure kick as well. Got behind them, had to turn away under a lot of pressure from McDougall. Paul Johnson did the right thing. Didn't try to ground the ball, just shoved it away over the dead ball line.
What a difference 6 days make, Steve-O.
Certainly does. And there's the flying winger Takiri.
Let's get down to Bill, Steve-O. He's got some injury news.
Well, in fact, that's Lottie Takiri leaving the pitch. It looks as though he injured a knee in the build-up to that last Australian try. A fantastic run from Takiri, but at some cost, because it looks like a knee injury. Takiri is off. That's some bonus for Great Britain.
Yes, Takiri is off, but Anasta comes on for him. This, meanwhile, is Sivanasiva.
But he got handed to the Australian coach, Chris Anderson. They don't want to mess around with too much forward play. They're taking it up for maybe one or sometimes two settlers, but it's zip, zip, zip after that.
Badeiras to Barrett. Farrell got to him. Important tackle that from Andrew Farrell. Badeiras then. Johns will switch the attack. This is Myers. Here is Gidley. Gidley gets it away under pressure. Badeiras back it goes to Sivanasiva. Britain are hanging back, and could be fatally hanging back. That's 4 tackles gone. Badeiras, the bang in front of the sticks. Fittler flicks the pass back. It's with Lockyer. Lockyer still through the gap, and he's in this time is Darren Lockyer. The British defence, I'm afraid, is not as rock solid as it was at Huddersfield. Something's happened to them. Or is it just the fact that Australia have upped the tempo? Darren Lockyer with the try. That's his 14th try for his country, the Brisbane Broncos fullback. And it, I'm afraid, Steve-O, is the same old story.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the build-up to it. We just panicked, threw the ball anywhere just because we couldn't get the kick away. Would have been far better served to allow Australia to have the handover. But what was happening is that when the ball's going out one way, the defence moves up, and then when it switches, we're hanging back. That is awful defence, not the best. I think it was Forshaw that missed him. But look how we're just hanging. We're waiting, but when the ball comes back, we're all stood back. And it was Forshaw, not the best defence. And easy for the Australian fullback. Well, our defence was so magnificent last week. It's just fallen apart at the seams. Get the needles going, boys.
Well, this is for an 18-0 lead. Johns doesn't miss those. Well, if it started off difficult, it's suddenly become almost an Everest for Great Britain. Lockyer's try, converted by Andrew Johns, and Darren Lockyer's try makes it 18 points to 0, and David Waite with a little crisis on his hands.
I'd say it was a big one, Annie, because he realises that Australia, they're switching the play so often. And the combination, maybe not as such with the two halfbacks, Johns and Barrett, but Johns and Fittler, they're running the show. In fact, Fittler's running it as though he's playing standoff. And he's pushing Barrett out wide, but it's certainly playing off.
Well, let's get Sean McRae's view on the opening 26.5 minutes. Sean, it's all gone a little bit off the plan, I'm afraid.
Well, it's gone well for Australia. We've seen a role reversal, haven't we? In 6 days, they're getting tremendous speed of the play of the ball, and therefore they've got space to create. And we've seen some very, very gifted players do some excellent things. Great Britain, on the other hand, haven't had the possessions, they haven't had the territory. They've had no back-to-back sets this week, as we saw this time last week, and they're really using up a lot of energy and a lot of petrol defensively. They're going to have to get some points on the board before half-time.
They are, and Paul Anderson is on to try and add his considerable weight to the proceedings. Forshaw gets it away to Peacock, but they're just not getting over this advantage line at all.
No, they've got to change their tactics. What paid off for them last week, certainly not at the moment, but that's a good break.
Great break from Farrell.
We've got to be a little bit more creative as well. We've got to try to keep this ball alive a lot more, and we've got to have second phase attack. It's one out far too often.
Sinfield, the dummy half, but we're at the last tackle here, so Sculthorpe will have to hoist the kick. Now then, Price is tall. The ball is knocked back.
Offside.
He was offside.
We'll play the first knock on.
I got a green knock on, touched by White, then by Green.
Well, he's got it right, Bill Harrigan, because it was a knock on there, no doubt about it. And then you could see Sculthorpe just had a touch. Oh, I'm not so sure. It came off Price. Oh, well.
It did. That was my original thought.
I thought Anasta had definitely got to it. Either way, let's not be too critical of Bill Harrigan. He doesn't have the advantage of the replay, of course. We've got to score here to have any chance. I really mean this.
Yes, this is a must-score situation for Great Britain. Radlinski, great tackle, low down on him though. Stunning tackle, stopped him in his tracks. It was by Trent Barrett. This now is Sinfield. It goes wide to Peacock. And Australia are there in numbers, but Peacock keeps those legs going. They're within 8 metres of the line. What would they give for a try? Sculthorpe, man of the match last week.
Great tackle from Freddie.
Sinfield, it comes across to Connolly. Connolly will fancy them taking them on, or flicks the ball away. Knock on.
That'll be back to 6.
Knock on. Oh, it's a knock on!
Oh, he's got it the wrong way there.
Well, he looked at the touch judge, to be fair, and the touch judge gave him no hope, no help at all.
He said that the touch judge says that it came off his boot. Fingertips there.
Well, maybe there was a desperation in our call then. There's a desperation round this ground. They're booing Bill Harrigan, but he got no help from the official.
Oh, I definitely touched it for mine.
Well, one way or the other.
Gidley's got away with it.
He has.
Bill Harrigan gets the boos. Australia won't mind. At 18-0, they know they're controlling this game. And Great Britain have to come up with something spectacular. And pretty soon, too.
Lovely chip over the top from Johns. He hits the deck like a sack of coal.
Great defence, though.
Radlinski read it well, but look at them swarm forward.
Well, they were missing those last week. And Brad Myers has made one heck of a difference to this Australian side, you know.
Yes, there were one or two people in the British camp hoping actually that Jason Stevens wouldn't get any suspension.
Well, he deserved the one match, that's for sure, if not longer, but let's not dwell on that. We need something spectacular.
Yes, Great Britain need a little bit of inspiration from somewhere. Will it come here from Sinfield? No, halted by the tackle from Andrew Johns. It's the last one. Joint gets it away to Farrell. Here's another high kick. Here's another tester out wide. Price is after this. And Price almost got it.
Nearly got to it there. Just couldn't hang it in.
Now this is the man they've got to put down, and they do this time. Sculthorpe. Sculthorpe on Lockyer. Fittler the dummy half. Away they come again though, Australia. And Great Britain now will hunt the mistake. This is Myers. Good run from the big fella Myers, despite the attention of Sinfield and Jamie Peacock. Well, in 1990, Malcolm Reilly, and in 1994, Ellery Hanley resisted the temptation to change the side after going one up. David Waite has done the same again. He has named an unchanged team for the second test.
To be fair, though,
at the
Eddie,
moment, it's deja vu.
He would have selected Newton if he'd have been fit.
Oh, they've got space to play with out here. Lyon. And he's well tackled by Price in the end.
Did well to shepherd him right way out into the corner there.
Lockyer's having an influence on this match. Kennedy, fed by Barrett. Great Britain standing off. The crowd getting a little impatient. There goes the kick from Gidley. A tester here for Price. Oh, and he's come up with it. The substitute. Anasta has come up with it. And he's got the next try for Australia. Leon Price. The ball was pinched. And Braith Anasta, the 19-year-old, the junior kangaroo against the junior Kiwi in July, has come up with his first try at the very top level.
They applied the pressure and it certainly paid off for them. Good work from the substitute Anasta. But look at the Great Britain defence. They've been mesmerised. They have not got into them. They've allowed Australia to control the game. It was pinched off Price. He went a little bit too early and Anasta took full advantage of it. And I'm afraid this is becoming a little embarrassing, mainly due to the fact that Great Britain look absolutely mesmerised in their defence. Like Australia did in the first test in the first half, they were hesitant, hanging back, let's see what they're going to do. You cannot afford to do that. We knew our only chance was to make sure that we got well and truly into the faces and upset these Australians. Give them room to play and they will enjoy it all the way to the Billabong.
Johns with the kick. It's 24 points to 0. And oh dear, what an anticlimax. Well, when you think about it, you know, there's no long. Kieran Cunningham is our guest in the studio. No Tommy Martin, no Adrian Morley, no Terry Newton, no Tony Smith, no Jimmy Lowes. They didn't have them last week either, to be fair, and we did make the point in victory. It's worth making the point when they're up against it 24-0 down. And, well, they are human after all. But, you know, when you name a list like that, Steve-O, it's like the England football team going in without Beckham, without Michael Owen, without Emile Heskey, and anyone else you want to make.
Yeah, I know, Eddie, but you can't come up with any excuses. The thing is, we did it last week and we have underachieved. We have not performed here. Australia, they have only missed one tackle and they have had 15 successful offloads. Stats say a lot, but the thing is, we are not getting to them. We are not ruffling their feathers. You've got to get into them. You can't just look at them. You've got to grab their tail and give it to them.
They're not doing that. There's no doubt about it. 24-0. It doesn't make pretty reading, does it, from a British point of view? Here is Joint. The forwards so dominant last week. They're being outplayed, outmuscled. Farrell. Still Farrell. Richard Horne is on.
That's a good move from David Waite because he needs a little bit snappier in and around the play the ball area. Horne will certainly provide that.
Farrell tried to dab the ball through and he gets the ball back. It was a charge down. It is 6 to go for Great Britain.
He certainly played at it with the leg.
Oh, Sculthorpe and Anderson nearly getting in a bit of a tiz, but Anderson takes it on just the same.
Well, surely a set move here.
Well, they've come down the short side to Senior, but that's terrific defence.
Is it ever?
On the fly it goes to Farrell. Here now is Richard Horne. Back it goes to Peacock. And Peacock, they just can't get through this Australian defence.
But even if it just shook the would-be tackler away, there was no second phase coming in to support. And we've got to sort that out in the half-time break.
Here's Sculthorpe to Farrell. And Farrell gives it to Johnson. They're like running into a green and gold brick wall, and that's the last. They were caught in possession.
They lost the plot really there. They really should have been put in a A neat little kick into the in-goal area. It was pretty high there from Senior as well. Young Gidley would have felt that. Gets up a bit groggy. At 36 minutes, it's a little bit late to start adding a little bit of fire. Bitterly disappointed that they weren't a little bit more ferocious, the Great Britain, at the start.
Great hands on show here, though, from Australia. Really is. And here they come with Riles. And eventually Joint gets him to the ground. Buderus. And a great run from Johns and a flick pass to Andrew Farrell. And Farrell away from one, but Riles is there to finish him off right on the halfway line. Sinfield. Here now is Senior. The ferocious defence from Australia has continued from the very first whistle. Here is Anderson. Oh,
ooh, big
now
problems.
This is Andrew Johns, and they have got problems. Let's see how this develops. It's Sculthorpe. We're going to get down to Bill Arthur shortly. This is Sinfield, just trapped and running down a blind alley, really.
Well, to be fair to Sinfield, he wanted someone to come back on the inside. There was none forthcoming.
Crossfield kick, goes back, picked up, flicked away, and Australia accept the gift. Let's get down to Bill. News of Andrew Johns.
Real worry on the Australian bench at the moment. There is Andrew Johns having treatment from the Australian physios, and he is in some considerable pain. It's a rib injury, left-hand side, and he's coming straight back onto the pitch, but he doesn't look happy at all. Just going to see out the rest of this first half, I should imagine.
Well, only 2 minutes to go, and that's why he will stay out there bravely.
Well, to be fair to Johns, he's a tough cookie. Not only is he skillful with his hands when he's attacking, but he's got through a lot of defensive work out there.
They go down the short side. Lockyer with a kick for an Asta to chase. Radlinski has lost it, and I think it's a bounce ball. I think that's a bounce ball, but Bill Harrigan will go to the video referee and he'll check it out. And Asta is celebrating, let me tell you.
I think this will be given. Radlinski is absolutely beaten. Oh no, Radlinski got back. Did he ever? This will be a dropout from underneath the sticks. I think it'll be deemed deliberate fend by Radlinski. What a great effort in the end. He was deceived by an awful bouncing ball, and Nasta was swooping onto it. It'll be NOTRY, that is for sure, but I think we'll have to endure some more pressure. I don't think it comes off an Asta after Radlinski gets a fingertip to it. No try, that's for sure.
It's just a question of how we restart. Oh, and a 20-metre restart. So it came off an Asta. Ruled to have come off an Asta. And so they restart with a 20-metre tap. And here is Anderson. Well, they've got to hang on to the football. 24-0, the game almost beyond them already. But 30-0. Well, we may as well then go to Wigan.
Well, there's a long way to go in this game, but when you look at the stats and you see that Great Britain haven't made a full clean break yet. Australia are only missing one tackle.
Well, half-time came at the wrong time for Great Britain last week, remember. They would have liked to play on for the full 80 without a breather. Let's hope that maybe from a British point of view, the same thing happens for Australia. It'll certainly give David Waite the opportunity to get at his players.
Oh, there's a mistake. That could give us an opportunity.
They are fallible.
Certainly a knock on. But will they have time? The Aussies will take an eternity to put this scrum down. You can see the clock ticking away. And the try scorer, Nasta, comes up with a mistake. A lot of the crowd thought that it should have been a penalty because Fittler came from an offside position. And Harrigan has deemed that we'll put the scrum down. We may just get it. But the Aussies are playing ducks and drakes. They're saying, oh, we seem to have lost one of our pack. Oh, they've found him now. And we've got 4 seconds. It's got to be...
He's held the clock up.
Well done. It took an eternity there for Harrigan to realise that he'd have got the bird if he hadn't seen the clock. It's going to be a kick and go.
Last chance here. Richard Horn. Enveloped and loses it anyway. Oh, penalty here, Great Britain. Penalty. It's not over yet. penalty, ball stolen, 2 men in the tackle. One last hurrah in this first half. Sinfield with a kick over the top, looking for Senior. Now it's half-time.
Certainly was, and to be fair there on the replay, Eddie, I think that Senior was well in front of offside. Even if he'd have taken it, I don't think the try would have been given, but he'll be satisfied, Brad Fittler. It has been a great performance by Australia in the first half.
It has, and Fittler, the man who started the rot in the 5th minute, continued on by Johns, Lockyer and Anasta with the tries, and Johns has added goals to each of the 4. That's why we have the half-time score of 24 points to 0. Well, what a difference 6 days make. This time on Sunday at Huddersfield, Great Britain were 12-0 up. Tonight, as you can see, it's a totally different story.
It's looking good. Oh dear.
It doesn't get much bigger than this. The rematch for the heavyweight championship of the world. And on the same bill, Scott Harrison v Steve Robinson. Wayne Alexander v Joe Townsley. American William Joppy against Howard Eastman for the vacant WBA World Middleweight crown. And then Rackman v Lewis 2. The final judgment tonight at 10, Skybox Office. Order now for $14.95. See Channel 770.
Hi, we're S Club 7. Now dial 15719 now to get BT's free answer service, and BT will donate £1 to BBC's Children in Need for every activation.
This Christmas, fill your stocking with a Chubby. When it comes to big laughs, you can't get bigger than Chubby.
Do you know mobile phones damage your health? Certainly do. You get your bill, you want to throw yourself off a cliff, don't you?
Chubby Brown Stocking Filler.
It just slips off the tongue.
Yours to own on video and DVD.
It's onion time, guys.
The world is just a great big onion, and I don't...
Yeah. See, not all foods is as fun as the stuffed crust from Pizza Hut. With a crust full of melted cheese and 13 mouth-watering inches of your favourite toppings, there's really nothing else like it. Pizza Hut. Great pizzas, great times.
I'm used to interviewing people, finding out what makes them tick, getting to the truth. But imagine interviewing a man suspected of a rape and he laughs in your face. You've got to listen to his story and assess it against the evidence. You can't get emotionally involved. You can't show your emotions. I don't know whether I could do that.
We look round to the left-hand side, to the west stand. There are quite a few Australians in the crowd today.
Here with Sean, Steve-O and myself. Steve-O and I have had plenty to say about the first half. Kieran, what say you? Because it didn't really go according to plan, did it?
No, it didn't. You know, everybody was hoping that they could get the series wrapped up today. But I don't know whether they've gone out mentally not focused or what. Bill Harrigan might be taking them back them extra couple of yards, and I think fatigue's setting in because they can't get off the line. they seem to be struggling to make the 10, and they just can't get off the line, and they're losing the play of the ball. And I think this next half we'll see a lot more dummy half runs from Badiris.
I didn't say much before the match started, but looking over your shoulder, watching the Great Britain lads warming up for this match, they looked a little flat.
They did. I think you know, they might be in the back of their minds they've got 2 bites of the cherry, and you know, maybe sometimes that isn't good. Australia come out tonight, all guns blazing. There was only one thing on their mind, and maybe Great Britain are looking forward to a clash at Wigan.
Well, maybe so, but that really will be putting the eggs in one basket. Sean, what's happened? What's gone wrong? Where's the team that we saw 6 days ago?
Well, Eddie, we've seen a scant lack of the physical intimidation that we saw 6 days ago. Always difficult to explain why that happens, but sometimes you just don't recover physically and emotionally from a big victory. And as I said before the game started, Australia had plenty to play for. I'm not suggesting Great Britain haven't, but we have seen a role reversal. We've seen Australia more aggressive, quicker play the balls, getting good yardage out of their rucks, and I can only remember them maybe knocking the ball on a couple of occasions. This time last week, they were in awful trouble on the stat sheet, and they were awful trouble on the scoreboard, but it simply turned around, and it's Great Britain who now have to take the game to them. They really haven't created a great deal. They haven't looked like scoring. Australia have looked dangerous, and maybe Great Britain are a little fortunate it's only 24 points to nil, because they had a couple of other opportunities and haven't quite grabbed them, but it's backs to the walls and opportunity to get it back.
Well, opportunity to get it back, but at 24 points to nil at this level, Steve-O, with an Australian team playing at this intensity and at this pace, it looks as though it's all over.
Well, it's going to be difficult for Great Britain to get back into this game. We've only had one clean break. That came from Andy Farrell. The Australians have only missed one tackle. And it was soon early on that we realised how skillful they are. But our biggest problem, they take it one way, and then we don't seem to close in. Not the best attempt, again, from Radlinski, as Fittler went in for the first try. And then I think if Lockyer, well, if they'd have scored this one, it was so early. I mean, we were only 8 minutes into the game, and he was unfortunate to just lose it there under good attention from Fielden that Peacock should have said he got it out. And then their only opportunity, and it just went to the no man's land, didn't it? No chance for Johnson there. Farrell, not at his best at the moment. We are just confused. We're hanging back. We're allowing the Australians. And this is a disgrace. 2 go up. Now watch. Now they should have been 5-10 metres forward there. Applied the pressure to Takiri. Once this guy gets away, what a beautiful pass on the inside. Johns, interesting to see whether he comes back from the second half with the injury, but he's a tough cookie. And that was a great try. They were opening it up with, well, considerable ease at this particular time. And look at Fittler. I mean, it's Barrett and Johns who are the halfbacks, but I can assure you they're working Fittler and Johns. Poor tackling there, not the best from Forshaw. Again, we were caught. They went out to the left. When they brought it back, we were left hanging, not going into their faces. Look at that. What's he going to do? What's he going to do? I'll tell you what he's going to do. They're going to skip away, keep the ball alive. Look at them stood there. Absolutely. Well, David Waite must be furious. They've worked hard on this. Price went a little bit earlier, and that's the substitute in for it. And how close was this right at the end? It was an awful bouncing ball for Radlinski. Normally 99 times out of 10, 100 he'd get that. But full work, though, to the full-back. He did get a fingertip to it there, but it's a big, big hill to climb. And I just can't understand where the fire is just gone out of the bellies of this Lions outfit. They really should have taken it to him, and they haven't.
They haven't, but even on a night like this, there's still time for Steve-O to come out with them 99 times out of 10.
Yeah,
you never fail.
Well, you know.
you always give us a bit of a smile, just to say. Even
well, we've got little to smile about, I can assure you, at this point in time.
Not much, that is true. But Kieran, 24-0 down, professional player. What do you do?
Well, for a start, you've got to keep your composure. That's a must. You've got to. You can't lose their heads and accept that the game's gone, because it hasn't. You know, anything can happen in rugby league, as you know, Australia's proved it before. Great Britain can get back in this game. They've just got to kick out the sets of 6 and do the basics right, what they're not doing, and you know, they can get themselves back into this game.
But Sean, at this level, there's got to be a 100% improvement from now.
Well, there does, but I think the important thing David will be saying, look, don't play catch-up to score this first try. Try and get the first try on the board, put them under some pressure, let's play some rugby league, but don't go too early. If you make mistakes, Australia will capitalise on that, and the game's gone anyway.
Well, don't forget these three experts I have with me here in the studio, Kieran, Sean and Steve-O. It probably comes as a surprise to Kieran, but he's going to have a say tonight in who's going to take away the Man of the Match award. Your votes, gentlemen, will count in this second Guinness test. You will decide who will be the Man of the Match here at the Reebok Stadium tonight. Fancy might be someone from Australia maybe on that first half showing, or will he emerge in the red, white and blue of Great Britain in the second half? There's got to be an almighty improvement from the Lions. They're 24-0 down at half-time.
There's that trademark little shuffle before he takes the kick.
If you only get to see one fight this year, make sure it's this one. The Final Judgment, tonight at 10, Sky Box Office. Order now for $14.95. See Channel 770.
Handles life beautifully.
Where do you think you're going? In there. Don't think so. Name? Peter Jackson. Sorry, mate. I just want a paper.
Free Ministry of Sound Chill Out CD with The Observer tomorrow.
Enemy at the Gates. A breathtaking spectacle. Fantastic. Enemy at the Gates. Own it on video and DVD from Monday.
With 0% finance over 2 years on selected models, the Vauxhall Zafira handles life beautifully.
Three girl cops with three big guns. Fighting crime in three dangerous cities.
Move it. Go inside and shut your dirty mouth.
Get out. Put your hands on the roof.
Keep moving.
We're talking about guns, and we're talking about the kind of people that do shoot policemen.
Girl Cops starts Tuesday at 9, Sky One.
Oh dear, they've made a mess of that one.
Well, we have live World Championship boxing coming up tonight. Lennox Lewis looking to regain his world heavyweight title against Hasim Rahman. The action's underway from 10, 2 title fights from Scotland. Then it's over to Vegas for the big one, Rahman against Lewis. More information on this special Sky Box Office event, the number to call, 08705 800 888. That's 08705 800 888.
They failed to do, and they've got now to make sure that Australia realise that, okay, looks like we're going towards the third test, but we can only improve. We have to. We played awful in that first half, and the players out there, they know it too.
Well, we shall be checking on what was said in the two dressing rooms in a moment with Bill Arthur, as Australia have the first use of the football from their point of view in this second half now, and it's with Fittler. And a good job that Kevin Sinfield held on to his green and gold jersey. Here now is Andrew Johns, rib cartilage problem for him, but he's got the ball wide to an Astor, and Connolly knocked that ball out of his hand.
The head and feed, the green and gold. Deliberate knock, as you can see there.
So
One-on-one, it's all right.
Australia, yeah.
They went in a touch. Amazing. Never scored a try for Great Britain. What a time for him to come up with his first try. We really do need something.
Short odds earlier on today for him to score in this test match. But at the moment it's Australia who are taking it to them again, and it's Matthew Gidley. It has been Australia from the very first whistle, and here now is Adam McDougall. And Great Britain again hanging back in defence almost fatally. Australia within 3.5 metres of that British line. Danny Badouris, Trent Barrett. Here now is the big fella, Jason Riles. No progress made metre-wise as far as Australia concerned. Little drop of the shoulder again from Johns. He's over. Oh, what a start. What a start for Australia. And even after just 2 minutes of this second half, I'm afraid that just about wraps this test match up.
Well, he picked up a bad injury just before the half-time break. And Johns has scored the try that has made no doubt about it that we're going to go to the deciding test at Wigan next Saturday. And it was Johns who ripped us apart in the first half, and he's done it yet again. He ghosted through, stepped off the left foot. Well, Andrew Johns and Brad Fittler have absolutely run the show here tonight. The combination between Fittler and this fella has been outstanding. It wouldn't surprise me if this guy comes off now, Eddie. There is a problem with his shoulder.
Well, doesn't look like it the way he's kicking, and he's got rib cartilage problems as well. But 30 points to 0. Do not adjust your set. It is a horror story, I'm afraid. And let's get the half-time news. Might be too late from a British point of view, Bill.
Well, certainly some very stern faces on the British bench, but David Waite has sent his team out with the instructions just to try and do the little things better in this second half, to at least give themselves a platform to mount some sort of comeback in this game, although it does seem a very distant prospect now, because after that Andrew Johns try, and that is remarkable because Johns ended that first half in a lot of pain. Apparently he's had a rib cartilage problem for some time. He suffered a knock to the area late on in the first half. He's back out there, he scored a try. He is a tough cookie, and the word from the Australian camp is it stays the same. Those are the words that Trent Barrett used as he came out of the dressing room. Nothing changes, guys. Doesn't look as though it's going to.
No, 30 points to 0, and it's heartbreaking really from a British point of view, because there's been so much talk this week. There's a mistake from Andrew Johns, just Australia trying to force the pass, but so much talk this week, Steve-O, about the first test victory. People were so ebullient because of it. It was going to be the night of all nights, this, and it's come crashing down around their ears.
Well, it certainly has. Look, we know that the Australians, they're skillful, they're very, very fit indeed. They were a bit underdone in that first test. We knew they'd come back. But the big problem that we're finding now is that where is the fire that was in the belly last week? It just seems to have just gone away.
Yes, it was a huge effort from Great Britain.
You know, every tackle,
Sunday.
every teammate came in, good on you. They were talking to the Aussies, they were putting them off the game. We've seen none of that.
Maybe they believed that it would go to a third test. Anyway, 30 points to 0. Britain on the attack here with Richard Hall. A little hole for Horn. He flicks it back well to Anderson. Flick pass on the bounce. Collected, and again, and this has been a feature of this match. Great Britain, they've tried things and it just hasn't come off, and it's all looked terribly desperate.
Panic, that's a word for it. The opportunity we had back to 6 there, definitely touched by Matthew Gidley. And every time we get into a position where perhaps we can launch an attack and get points on the board, we just panic, we lose the plot completely. And remember, this Great Britain squad, they've been together for quite some time now, but they look as though they haven't played together, don't they?
That's a big hit.
That's better.
Trent Barrett felt that. Andrew Farrell stopped him dead in his tracks. And the tragedy from the British point of view is that they've gone from, well, champagne football 6 days ago to penny lollies tonight. Referees held the clock up. I think Jamie Peacock has got a problem in the blood bin. He's got some blood around the mouth, as Peacock. I'm all right, he says, as the physio comes out.
Well, we saw a magnificent big hit there by Andy Farrell. And the problem is it happened in the 46th minute, not in the first. We really did take it to them in that first test at the McAlpine, and we are just a shadow of that particular side.
Yes, I wonder where it's gone. And we talk about what a difference 6 days makes to the Aussies. What a difference 6 days has made to Great Britain. They don't look the same team, and yet they are in personnel. They are exactly the same team, the exact same side, in exact same positions.
That could have been a flop. Jamie Lyon was very late under that. Tackle looked to have been completed.
By the way, I'm sure our friends at Channel 9 in Australia have been enjoying the last 46.5 minutes, a little more than they did last weekend.
Well, to be fair, Australia have played some outstanding rugby league football.
That's a good run. Much better run from Fielden, but when he gets into open space, there's nobody there coming in the second phase.
Bit of an elbow.
And he's got the penalty.
That was hanging on was Ben Kennedy, and he got a good old elbow in the mush for his pains. Look at this, get out of it. Already being given the penalty by Bill Harrigan, but it was a pretty dangerous play there.
Well, 30-0, there's no point Great Britain taking the two on offer. It's 3-0, the penalties, incredibly, from the whistle of Bill Harrigan.
Well, this is a time when we've got to start making Australia hurt a little bit, so that at least they'll go to that third test at Wigan knowing that Great Britain won't play as bad, and which they can't, surely, and we can play a bit tougher, and that's what we've got to prove now. Got to stand up and be counted a little bit.
Terry O'Connor had the scoot from dummy half then. This now is Sinfield's turn. He gives it width to Farrell. Here's Paul Sculthorpe. He did the hour last week, as was Peacock. He's put the ball down, and the referee will put the scrum down for the knock-on.
Well, they were trying to utilise the man running out wide and then bring him short, which was Peacock. The offload was okay from Paul Sculthorpe there. Trying to confuse the defence, utilising Rudlinski out wide, but I must say this Australian defence has been well marshalled. Everything that Great Britain has thrown at them. Remember, only one missed tackle in that first half. Been outstanding.
Oh, and a run here from Jamie Lyon, straight over the top of the British defender, Chris Radlinski it was. Just drove him into the ground, and here now comes Kennedy. Sculthorpe and Joint. That was the 15th missed tackle by Great Britain, just two, and it's all starting to get a little petulant. And Bill Harrigan keeps away from it all and says, look, let's get on with it. This is Riles. Buderus is the dummy half for Australia. It comes infield to Brad Fittler. Fittler has three there, and he's pushed back.
I must say he's been a champion tonight, Brad Fittler, led by example.
Buderus to Johns. Johns tried to get that ball away. That came off Farrell. It's going to be 6 to go, this. No, the referee says knock on. Where's he got that from?
Well, if this is a head and feed to Great Britain, I think they're pretty fortunate.
That'll be head and feed to Australia, will it, if on the evidence of that picture?
You'd think so. Yep. It should be. But if that was the case, why wasn't he just play on then? Trent Barrett picked it up neatly.
Well, because Britain have got head and feed, that's why.
Well, I don't know how he's got that. Maybe a little luck, just shining Great Britain's way. They certainly need it. But they just need a clean break, an opportunity, a try, well, hopefully, to lift their spirits.
Yes, they need at least a try to take with them to Wigan next week. I'm sure that David Waite, Brian Noble, Graham Steadman, Phil Clark, the manager, already their thoughts will be on the JJB Stadium. It will now at 30 points to 0.
Well, if they can win the second half, it was all over after the first 40 minutes as far as I was concerned.
Lovely little break from Horn.
Well, he's at least trying to do something a little bit different. He's taking on the defence.
It all comes down to this. Third test next Saturday at Wigan. 6:30 Sky Sports 1 again. And the ball has bounced, but a penalty because the British boy took out Darren Lockyer in the air. Now, it's not allowed when the ball is airborne in defence, but in this test series, let me tell you, see, that is not allowed. Although, to be fair to Fielden, he went for the ball.
Well, he was certainly looking at the football, and I would have deemed the same way. Not seen by the official Bill Harrigan.
But that's not allowed when an attacker tries to stop a defender defusing the bomb. But up the other end, interestingly, in this test match, and we should have made the point last week, it will be allowed. A defender can defend his own line, is the way that they're going to play this.
And to be fair, I think that's a good rule.
Just like Robbie Paul did against Keith Senior on this ground in 1998, you may remember. Here's Johns, wide, they're loaded out wide, McDougall is in.
Well, a shade forward in the end, I felt, but let's not take away the fact that McDougall had enough strength. It was a bit dodgy, that pass, never mind. But we should have we had numbers out there on the left-hand side, and there should have been enough to deal with Adam McDougall. He knows a way to the line, but look at the space that would allow him, Johns, to take control there. Not the best attempt by Paul Johnson. Look at the space that we allow him. Matthew Gidley, one of the best offloaders under pressure that I've seen for quite some time. He served up yet another try-scoring pass for this fella, Adam McDougall. It's a rout, I'm afraid, and he knows it. He was pretty confident. He said that the fact that referee Bill Harrigan was in charge would make sure that Great Britain would be taking back the 10. It would give them far more room to move, and he has been proved right.
And guess who the Australians might be voting for in the discussion that is due this week as to who controls the third test at Wigan next Saturday night. I think they will be having a big hands up for that fellow, Bill Harrigan. 34-0, this kick from Andrew Johns. He's missed it. Well, an ironic cheer from the crowd, and Johns himself looks a little bit annoyed that he missed it. 34 points to 0, and I hate to say it, but I've turned over the page on the records to the highest scores, and 50 points to 12 at Swinton in 1963 is the highest score the Australians have scored in an Ashes series against Great Britain. And at the moment it's 34-0.
Well, he came out in the press, didn't he, Bill Harrigan? He said that on a few occasions in the first test, Great Britain were in front of the kicker, and he's got them this time. He said he would.
And he has, and what's more, Lockyer's booming kick.
Well, I think that's been a little bit pedantic.
Well, I was going to say,
someone about 50 metres away on the opposite side of where the football's gone, and Mr. Harrigan has penalised him. Well, he said he'd do it, and he's done it.
Guess who Great Britain won't be voting for in the discussions this week? This is Barrett. Had a nightmare last week, Trent Barrett, but so did all the Australians, and they have covered themselves in glory here tonight. No more so than Fittler. Kennedy gets away from Fielden. Kennedy! Oh, dearie, dearie me. Oh, dearie, dearie me. The crowd that was cheering these British players to the rafters last week are now, I'm afraid, well and truly on their backs and booing them. And it's the Aussie flags that are flying highest at the Reebok Stadium. And Great Britain not impressed. They've had a bit of a debate with Bill Harrigan. Remember, it all came about because of that penalty on halfway. It was pedantic, as Steve-O so rightly says.
Especially when he was 40, 50 metres away, he was not infringing on it.
And 34-0, Steve-O, to be fair, you know.
Yeah, but this is poor defence, Eddie.
Well, it is, it's awful.
You know, big fella Kennedy, they know his ability. A fantastic grand final. And back on the inside, and he scored quite easily. It was not the best defence. You've got to go down low, you've got to get his legs. They failed to do that, and they are looking down the barrel of a real good hiding. Andy Farrell is screaming at his charges, trying to lift them. But it's not going to be easy, because I know one thing. Chris Anderson will have sent out the message, enjoy yourself, boys. Enjoy it big time. And they will.
And they are, to some tune, 40 points to 0, Australia. And Paul Wellens comes on for his first taste of Ashes football. Wellens is the man who comes on, and Chris Radlinski is the man who's gone off. Well, one feels a little deflated, to say the least.
Oh, that is wonderful rugby league football. If you give them space, it's little wonder that they are the world champions and they are producing some outstanding rugby league football. Then you've got to give full credit to Chris Anderson. He didn't moan, didn't complain about refereeing decisions. He just said that Great Britain were better on the night, we would come back. But the way that he has changed the tactics, the way that they've got the ball away from the dummy half. Again, we haven't seen much running from Badiris from the scrum half, and why not? Because Andrew Johns, Brad Fittler, and now late in this game, Trent Barrett is showing his skills. That combination has just completely ripped Great Britain apart.
And Kevin Sinfield took a bang on their head in that last tackle that he made. He's gone off. Well, Great Britain now must be looking to the third test, and I know there's bags of time left in this one, and the Australians also ringing the changes. But Steve-O, where can David Waite ring the changes? I know he's brought in the likes of Darren Fleary into the squad. He has been added into the cover.
Well, he has got Paul King, who is a recognised hooker, and he's a tough cookie. Believe you me, we've got to change our tactics. We've got to make sure that we have, and we find that fire back in the belly.
And there's Michael Withers, of course.
Yeah.
Much debate about Withers and his eligibility for this test match, but he is, or this series rather, but he's in the squad. So there's Withers, there's Wellens, who is out there now operating at fullback. There's King, there's Fleary. Just trying to think if there's anybody else. Richard Horne, maybe. Lee Briers, of course.
Yep.
Lee Briers could just be the joker in the pack for next week. We shall see. David Waite has got a week to decide.
Well, it paid off, the fact that they didn't go in with a recognised scrum half last week and a recognised hooker.
But Steve-O, historically, 1990, 1994, Mal Reilly, then Ellery Hanley, now David Waite in 2001, they didn't change a winning side. I know you say if Newton had been fitted to play.
Yeah.
But they didn't change a winning side, and they've paid the price.
Yeah, it's easy in hindsight, isn't it? But one thing that we have lacked, as I keep saying, is the power that we took control in the forwards, and the Australians have not wanted to mix it down the middle. That's where they got caught last week, and full credit to them. You've got to hand it. They know what it's all about. Get the ball out wide as quickly as possible. The service from Badiris has been good, and the half-back loose forward combination, well, they've been superb behind a defensive side. I mean, this Australian defence tonight, outstanding.
Outstanding indeed. And we have news of Chris Radlinski. Let's hope this isn't bad, Bill.
Well, it's not getting any better for Great Britain. Radlinski on the sidelines at the moment with ice on a hamstring injury, which he sustained towards the end of the first half. But he's been taken off as a precaution, according to the Great Britain medical side, and they're hoping that a week's rest will be enough cure for him. I'm not so sure whether that'll be the case with Australia's Lote Tuqiri, who came off with medial knee ligament trouble, and they are worried about him. He's got ice on his knee as well.
Radlinski with a battle on his hands if it's a pulled hamstring to be fit for that third test, and it doesn't get any better for Great Britain, does it? At nearly an hour, 40 points to 0. If it was a boxing match, if the referee would have stopped it by now. But we wait for the siren in 20 minutes' time. Bobby Kearns felt that. Oh, and Anasta gets away almost from Richard Horne. Lockyer. Oh, they're cutting Britain open with ease. That's Vela. Badiris. Here is Barrett. Little dab over the top. And they're waiting for it. Barrett dabs the ball through. Cairns was after it. And it was hacked dead by Keith Senior. It's a dropout coming up here under the sticks, is it? Or is the referee given a penalty?
No, it'll be a dropout. Well, neat skills from Trent Barrett. As I mentioned earlier, a little bit underdone last week. Took him a while to get into the situation, but that was mainly due to the fact that Andrew Johns and Brad Fittler, they wanted to make sure they took control out there. And as this game has gone on, we've seen on the Australian League that we get up here on Sky TV that he's had a fine season and he's a wonderful prospect, Trent Barrett, don't worry. He has outstanding skills, and I think we'll see quite a lot of him in the last quarter. He's enjoying it out there.
They all are in the green and gold. The rest of us, I think we must put the champagne on ice for at least another week, and let's hope not another 10,213 days. This is Barrett. The ball to Lockyer. Here is Carl Orr. 4 tackles gone, 2 remaining. The Aussies are 10 metres away. Fittler.
Oh, good hit.
Good hit by McDermott. He lost it then, did Barrett?
Well, play on. Well, I know it was a mistake and it was a knock-on, but surely...
Great Britain will have the scrum.
Oh, we should have really picked up that ball and showed the enthusiasm. Big hit from the prop forward, he went back for him. And, I mean...
Fielding's patting Barry McDermott on the back for the tackle.
Well, I mean, the referee had not blown up yet. He played to the whistle. I mean, it was bouncing around there, and, well, they've been extremely lethargic. And that just highlighted it. If that had happened the other way around, the Aussie would have scooped on it straight away.
This is Farrell. Well, 40 points to nil. 62 minutes, nearly 63 minutes on the watch. We've got one of the best coaches in the business with us in Sean McRae. Sean, you're David Waite for the next 30 seconds. What do you do?
Well, I think you just got to keep persevering. It's interesting to note that when Terry O'Connor and Barry McDermott have come back on, we've seen a lot more aggression in the Great Britain defence, but it's a shame we didn't see that earlier in the game. That's when they really needed it. It's all a bit too late now. Been a very clinical performance from the Australian side.
Next week, what do you do?
Well, I think we've just got to wait to see how the injuries get up, and well, we'll see how the injuries are, and you know, have a look at the videotape and look at where they've gone wrong. But it's the old adage, Eddie, if you're backpedaling, it's very hard to defend a good side, and that's what's been happening tonight.
Well, a golden opportunity. Andy Farrell, neat little chip over the top. Instead of opting to get onto the football, the best kick away. Good positional play, though, by Adam McDougall. You'd be hard-pressed to pick a poor player out there in green and gold.
Referee blows the whistle here, and confusion amongst both sides. Scrum, head and feed to Great Britain. Knock on, I think, the call.
Well, I don't know where that's come from.
Maybe there, was it? Do you think Mr. Harrigan wants the third test? Touch of confusion. Anyway, it's a head and feed at the scrum to Great Britain, and you might have noticed that Paul Anderson has returned to the fray. A little bit of invention, though, from Andy Farrell. Didn't quite come off, did it?
No.
A couple of minutes ago.
To be fair, though, in these closing minutes, golden opportunity for Richard Horne now to just show his wares. He's shown some little touches. We really haven't had much constructive play out there from the Great Britain side.
They've been behind the 8 ball in terms of the forwards from the very first whistle, though, haven't they?
Yeah, but it hasn't been a forward game. That's the fascinating thing about it. Australia didn't want it. They have not played it. They play the ball quickly. They've been slick. They've been effective, and they've just had a solid defence, which normal Australian sides, that's what they do.
Here's Farrell. Good ball, but he was waiting for him, was Matthew Gidley.
Aussie ever. Bang. That was a great tackle there by the centre. Sinfield felt it. And it's been all across the board as well. It hasn't just, it's been a good team effort by Australia. I mentioned earlier in that first half that, you know, the skills of Andrew Johns have been outstanding tonight, but he's gone through his hard work as well. He's a gutsy player. Super stuff.
Carl all under pressure from Sculthorpe. The ball was propelled forward.
That was a high one as well from Sculthorpe. He would have felt that.
Britain have got the head and feet at another scrum here.
Well, they've certainly closed down Paul Sculthorpe.
Well, they said all week, stop Sculthorpe. That was battle plan number 1. Battle plan number 2, apparently, stop Farrell. Keep them quiet. They believed they had the key to victory.
Well, the other key, Eddie, is the fact, stop them all. That's what they've done.
Yes, no real heroes tonight.
They'll be bitterly disappointed. And they know they've been taken to cleaners by a wonderful outfit.
Farrell trying to lift the crowd and lift Great Britain's spirits for test number 3.
Wonderful effort too.
Oh, Terry O'Connor goes without the ball. Kennedy just drops on the rich pickings, then loses it, says it was stolen.
Gotta be a penalty.
Knock on.
Kennedy, I think he's every right to be upset about it all. I suppose at 40-0 doesn't really count, but here's the mistake from O'Connor. And, well, it looked like the left arm of O'Connor was in there. Complete reversal, hasn't it? Great Britain missing tackles.
They're flat as flukes.
Yep. I don't know what a fluke is, but yeah.
Flatfish.
Oh, yes. Flat as flukes. Sure, the Aussie viewers will be happy with that. I don't think it's anything like a barramundi, so don't panic.
No. Well, Great Britain are playing like John Dory's with the lip out, I'll tell you that.
Yep.
This is Anderson now.
Talking of Anderson, Chris Anderson, the Aussie coach. He's got it. I was just about to say that Chris Anderson would have got the message out. Don't let them score.
Well, they have. Courtesy of Paul Sculthorpe, inevitably. And remarkably, that is his 34th try this year in all competitions. No celebrations, though.
And it was a good build-up by the Great Britain skipper, Andy Farrell. He certainly hasn't thrown the towel in. Squeezed away out of Carlo's grasp.
Take nothing away from Anderson either, Steve.
No, they combined well, but it was Farrell that got them into this wonderful position. He can poach a try, that you can be sure. Paul Sculthorpe, as Eddie has mentioned, man of steel, had a great season. But he will be bitterly disappointed. They'll want to get this out of the way. Forget about it as quickly as possible. It has not been a happy hunting ground for a lot of these players here.
This ground isn't a happy hunting ground for the British game.
That's what I've just said.
No, you said these players here, the British game.
Oh, you're arguing now.
Well, I may as well, there's nothing else.
You're upset now.
Apart from St Helens against Brisbane in January, and a national scale,
well, England
it's been a shocker here.
Yeah, they didn't play well against New Zealand, did they, in the World Cup semi-final.
And New Zealand against Great Britain in '98, second test.
Well, on a personal note, he will be quite pleased with that. But they'll all turn around, look at the scoreboard and realise that we have a lot of work to do.
Well, you talk about kicking the backsides. This has been the biggest kick up the backside that Great Britain would possibly have taken tonight. The question now is whether they can come back bigger and stronger next week, and there surely this time will be changes.
Well, there has to be.
He's got to try something different now.
Yeah, as I say, and we've got to recognise Hooker and King. I'd take the gamble. The Aussies don't know much about him. He's a rough, tough player. He knows
Well, he'll take it to them, won't he?
Of course he will. Get involved, and just need it. But it's the finesse that we've lacked.
And Libri, as I think, will be itching to be given the nod, just for something slightly different, just for the unexpected. That wasn't happening last week. They were getting to those high kicks over the top by Farrell and spilling them.
But there was just a glimmer of hope there. It was good work by Andy Farrell. Remember the chip over the top about 5-6 minutes earlier. He certainly hasn't given up the ghost. They've got to try to just leave some mental scar in the Australians' minds before the final outer here. It's difficult with a scoreline like that, but
good kick from Lockyer. Wellens back to collect it.
The thing is, Eddie, that we've been completely outplayed in every single department. Kicking, defence, breaks, you name it. Australia have been superior. They fully deserve to win this test.
Oh, without a doubt. They really are winners by the scoreline that we see in the top left-hand corner of our screens. 40 points to 6, and maybe, maybe even more. But Britain at least are keeping it going. Go on, Andy Farrell.
Again, leading by example. And it's amazing, isn't it? Just a try, a couple of breaks, crowd gets behind them.
Richard Horne. Quick hands, that was touched by Fittler. It'll be brought back for the knock-on.
He knows it. But at least some positive play by the British boys. So just couldn't offload at the final moment. And a lot of pressure by the Australian skipper. He's had a good match as well, Brad Fittler, especially in the opening exchanges. And Andy Farrell will give them some sort of hope. He's come alive in the last 10 minutes. All too late, of course.
40-0 when he came alive, unfortunately. Here he is again. Wellens fancies it. To within 3 metres. He's grasping an opportunity too. This is Fielden. Good ball to Sculthorpe.
Will Connolly get his first for Great Britain? No.
This is Anderson. He goes down. 4 tackles gone. Well, respectability is what's on offer here for Britain now, as Forshaw saw a little gap.
Trying to get rid of it too.
He did. Held on, fortunately. They're 5 metres short of the line. Fielden. Sculthorpe again. Releases the ball off the foot, play on. Fielden dabs it towards the post. Lockyer immaculate.
Easy made, good position. Read it well, good defence. Well, the aggression coming far too late, I'm afraid, fellas. This is what we fully expected in the opening minutes. And frustration just getting to the British boys. The Aussies know it too. Smiles on their faces. Few of the green and gold saying, have a look at the scoreboard, mate.
Well, Brad Myers.
Well, I think it's the first time for a few, well, for a period anyway, that this crowd have had something to cheer about.
Well, this aggression, I'm with you, it has come a little late, but at least it's there, and there is something for the Australians to think about next week. Ball is free, but a penalty.
Yeah, no doubt about it. 3 men in attendance. Why on earth this beefy stuff has come so late? It's totally beyond me.
Well, just a little reminder, a gentle reminder that the lion might roar in 7 days' time.
He's lost that. Will be play on. Not about it, it wasn't reefed out. Oh, great tackle there, Vidiris.
They're swarming around. They have from the very start.
They've controlled
after the
just
man.
control the game completely. worked as a wonderful unit.
This is Richard Horne. Connolly to McDermott. He'll keep them going. Wide it goes to Farrell. He goes inside. Last one. Great Britain will run it, obviously. Sinfield, that's too deep.
It's just been the little things that have been going astray. You have to control the matter, make sure that you keep possession for long periods of play. If you're going to beat Australia, and they displayed it, especially in the first half last week, is that if you control the ball, make sure that you keep having the dropouts from underneath the sticks, then you're in with a great chance. But they've got to get into their faces, and I'm afraid Great Britain have failed to do that. They've allowed the Aussies the space.
Yeah, there'll be no party in this part of the world tonight, but there'll be a party in Australia, because the series is all square again going into the decider.
He's certainly made a difference as well. Brad Myers, he's worked overtime.
2-1 Australia 1988, 2-1 Australia 1990, 2-1 Australia 1992, 2-1 Australia 1994. Going into the last test, it's 1-1. 2-1 Australia again, 2001, or will Great Britain come back off the canvas?
It's not going to be easy, Eddie. I've lived in Australia for 30 years now, and we haven't won a thing. I can assure you, it's hit my wallet over the years.
So
I've used my heart
this is why
to back the Poms.
This is why you've been a little mean in this part of the world, then,
of
is it?
course.
For the last 11. Connolly now.
Oh, great defence. That was wonderful defence.
Fittler and Barrett.
They have crunched them. And it hasn't just been the big fellas either. It's a team game. And boy, oh boy, the green and golds have certainly shown us how to play that team game tonight. Super skills on offer, but
you've got to take your hat off to them.
Oh, this defence has been just superb.
No one else due at the disciplinary this week, is there? Couldn't get rid of a couple more, could they? Actually, it's been fair and it's been clean as well, hasn't it?
And to be fair, I think Bill Harrigan has done a fine job out there.
Oh, an intercept for sure. A little gift from Darren Lockyer.
A good referee in there. The game's nearly over. They did drop the ball. It could have been a penalty, but let's get on with it. Apart from that pedantic penalty from that kick-off when the man was 40 metres away, other than that, Mr. Harrigan has done very well.
Yes, he has been fair and even-handed, just like Robert Connolly was last week, to be fair.
Of course.
So now we'll wait and see who gets the nod for the third test. Wellens gets it away to Price! Leon Price!
Good try.
This scoreline won't tell the full story. But it was a good try.
And good play by Wellens. He's certainly taken the opportunity. He didn't use him in the first test, but he's come off the bench. Good solid work from O'Connor. That's what we've needed for quite some time, and they've kept the ball alive. Watch how Wellens just shapes in and out, throws a dummy. That's sheer skill. See how he sucked him there. Nothing that Fittler could do about it, and Price took it well. Mere consolation, but a glimmer of hope.
Something to build on for 7 days hence at Wigan. So they're in double figures. This for 40 points to 12. But it will be little consolation to Andrew Farrell and his British team, and little consolation either to David Waite and his coaching team. It has been a systematic dismantling of the British team tonight by the Australian green and golds. And Farrell adds 2 more. 40 points to 12, last kick of the match belonged to Andrew Farrell. Last try of the match to Great Britain. but the spoils to Australia, and David Waite with an almighty week's work ahead of him now. Darren Lockyer back to his imperious best. The green and golds take us to a third and deciding test match again in this 2001 Guinness Series. Destiny still beckons for Andrew Farrell, but there will have to be some work on the training ground over the next 7 days. And before anybody says that for the last week Great Britain have been celebrating that first test success, that's absolute rubbish. They were in the hotel last Sunday evening as a unit. They reported back on Tuesday, and the build-up for this second test began. There was no partying by Great Britain. Get that out of your mind completely. It was a highly professional build-up, and it all goes down now to the third and final test at Wigan on Saturday. Andrew Johns, by the way, 20 points, too short of Michael O'Connor's Ashes record of 22, set at Old Trafford in 1986. Let's go down to pitchside now and join Bill, who's with Trent Barrett.
Trent, you said during the week that you guys had no intention of being the first side for 31 years to lose an Ashes series. I think we saw the evidence of that tonight.
Yeah, it was good. Our first half was excellent. Probably the first 15 minutes of the second half, a bit disappointed with the end. But we're still alive, and we're going to JJB next week. Can't wait.
What do you think made what was different about the performance tonight? A whole raft of things, I should think.
Made everything. Although a few balls went our way, we didn't drop a ball in the first half. But, we didn't do it easy. We didn't have a penalty. They didn't make a mistake either. So we did it the hard way and got 24 points out of them. And it was good, We've had a good week, and, full credit to the boys.
And until the closing minutes, the defence was pretty watertight as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and, we'll be in a bit of strife about the end there. But, I think everyone was switched on and looking to next week. But it was great. And, I'm pretty sure we can win next week if we put in another performance like that.
Thanks for joining us, Trent.
No worries. I can take it everyone home too, Kylie, all the boys at the pub.
Let's get the Great Britain view from Leon Price, and a try for you, Leon, but nevertheless, it's what a difference a week makes.
Yeah, we knew the Australians would come back a lot stronger. We know we didn't play well today, so we just got to go away, get back to the drawing board and start working hard again.
You were slow out of the blocks, and you paid the price, didn't you?
Yeah, definitely. We knew Australia were going to come out, 100 mile an hour, and we didn't handle that. So we've got to get back to the blackboard and start working hard at hopefully winning this series.
But you're still alive. You go to Wigan next week, and the series is still alive.
Of course, we're still alive. We all know that. We just got to improve, and we've got to sit down for this next week now and work a way that we can beat them.
Thanks for joining us, Leon. And the man of the match, Andrew Johns. There you go, Andrew. Congratulations. And you said it was going to be a different performance from you and the guys. It certainly was.
Yeah, I think I don't think they shocked us in the first game. We were just underprepared, coming off 5 days of just leaning in the country. So we were very desperate tonight. But I'm sure Great Britain will regather, and they'll be really tough next week. I can't wait. It's going to be a great series.
And obviously the week has made a difference to you. The preparation has been better. You've blown the cobwebs out, as you said.
Yeah, the training was very intense, and nothing was really said about the history of that we haven't lost a series in 31 years. But I think everyone knew, and I think from the way we played tonight, how desperate we were, you're showing how much it meant to us. And really, this will mean nothing come next Saturday if we don't perform again. So JJB, I hope everyone gets out and supports. It's going to be a great game.
It wasn't a faultless performance either. There was still 1 or 2 cobwebs in there, aren't there?
Yeah, we tend to push the ball on occasions. I might be guilty of that, instead of taking the tackle and trying to get on the next play. But there's just so much talent on the side, so much skill. It's just something you can't sort of tone down. If blokes think something on you, you got to back yourself. So all in all, good effort. But we know the job's not done.
Well, you were taken off, wrapped in cotton wool because of a rib injury. What's the story with that?
I heard it towards the end of the season, just a rib cartilage, and I fell on it awkward out here. I played with it for about a month and a half over home in Australia, so it'll be no problem. I'll look after myself this week and look forward to next week.
You're going to be all right for next weekend, are you?
Yeah, for sure.
Rats. Congratulations on a man of the match performance.
Thank you very much.
Good. Yes, he played magnificently in a fantastic all-round team performance from the Australians. They've won by 40 points to 12 here at the Reebok Stadium. Now, we clutch at straws in Great Britain, don't we? But listen to this. The last time We won a series on home soil in 1959. Great Britain clinched the series. Guess where? In Wigan. And we all go to Wigan in 7 days' time for the third and final test in this 2001 Guinness series. 40 points to 12. The Australians have done it. The series is all square. Now, a quick reminder of the live World Championship boxing coming up tonight. Lennox Lewis looking to regain that world heavyweight title against Hasim Rahman. The action's underway from 10 with 2 title fights from Scotland. And then it's over to Vegas for the big one, Rahman against Lewis. More information on this special Sky Box Office event. The number to call is 08705 800 888. That's 08705 800 888. Well, maybe we all thought we would, and so we are. We're heading to the JJB.
Vasen 10, pitkä vasen nopea plus.
Huomio, hyppyeri, hyppää. 20, 60, flat lane. What country's been ready?
I don't know what's happened there, but he's lost his head completely.
So it's International Rugby League tonight, and of the highest calibre, the Ashes are at stake, the biggest international prize of them all. It's the last match of a stunning Rugby League year. What a Super League season it was. Remember? We take our leave of you after this Ashes decider, but not for long. We're back with the World Club Challenge. Friday the 1st of February, the Bradford Bulls take on the Newcastle Knights. It's live only on Sky Sports 1. Friday night, February the 1st, and a month later, the big kick-off to Super League 7, a grand final replay. Wigan Warriors taking on the Bradford Bulls, Sky Sports 1 again at this very stadium. Friday the 1st of March, Friday the 1st of February for the World Club Challenge. And what a start to the year we had when Saints beat Brisbane. What an end to the year it would be if Great Britain could turn over these Australians. Chris Anderson in the middle of the Australian dressing room there, happily back to full fitness after his chest pains, worryingly, in the week, but he's 100%. And there is David Waite. The battle for the Ashes, and it looks like he's saying, let's get these Australians on their back and dominate them in the tackle. Let's take a check on the lineup that David Waite has chosen. Paul Wellens replaces the injured Radlinski at full-back. Leon Price, Gary Connolly, Keith Senior, Paul Johnson in the three-quarters. No change there. For the first time tonight. It's the second time a third test decide has been staged in the town of Wigan, a town synonymous with rugby league. 1959, Great Britain won to clinch their last Ashes win on home soil. Can history repeat itself here? Everybody on their feet and waiting. All clubs tonight unified behind the Union Jack. And can Great Britain give this great game the lift it deserves? Interesting point about Andy Farrell, by the way. The Great Britain captain has not lost on this ground all year. And he was itching to get the Australians back to what he called home territory straight after the match last week. And he looks determined as the fireworks burst overhead. Connolly, one of the Wigan contingent. Paul Johnson, others of course in this side with Wigan connections, like Mike Forshaw, like Barry McDermott, Andrew Farrell, David Hodgson. And Britain expects now that this third test actually goes Great Britain's way for once. A huge night for the players then of both nations. It's a point not lost on the Great Britain skipper Andrew Farrell.
Opportunity of our lives to win an Ashes series against Australia, and you know, we've got to prepare right and focus right, and you know, that's the main word in the camp at the minute is focus and do our job collectively, as I say.
It's going to be a big game for both teams because on their side of the coin, they can win the first Ashes for I think it's 31 years, and on the other side of the coin, we can sort of be the first team to lose it. So there's a lot on the line this weekend.
I know the lads have come off the back of a long, hard season, and you know, we're 18 minutes away from you know, having 4 or 5 weeks rest, which is another, you know, great boost for us. And you know, we want to go out winning because you know, our next game of rugby is going to be 2 months' time, and we want to. You know, we don't want to be stewing, waiting for the next game.
The first game we started pretty slowly, and the Great Britain team got away to a really good start. And you know, we were behind the 8 ball from the start of the game. Whereas in the second one, you know, we managed to start well and went on from there. So hopefully, you know, we can do something similar for the third one. But I think it's going to be a good game.
It's unfinished business, isn't it? I mean, it's last game of the season and all the players are willing to put their bodies on the line, and I think it's going to be a great game.
Oh, obviously they're going to come out pretty fired up. We got on top of them early in the second test, and I think that was a big factor of the whole game, and I think they won't want that to happen in the third test. And they're going to be coming out firing as they always do, and making sure that they try and get on top of us. So we're going to have to try and come out firing as well.
Magnificent atmosphere. The players are ready, and of course after this they have the luxury of 4 or 5 weeks holiday. And wouldn't it be wonderful from a British point of view if the Lions went on holiday with the Ashes under their belts? Well, now we'll switch down to the pitch side to join Amanda Harrison, star of Mamma Mia in the West End, for the national anthems.
Australia, so let us rejoice, for we are young and free, with golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is good by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gift of beauty rich and rare. In history's page read every stage, advanced Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
A hugely emotional moment there for Brad Fittler, who leads his men into international battle for the last time.
God save our gracious Queen, long live our noble Queen. God save our Queen. Send her victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us. God save our Queen.
Come on, says Leon Price. Come on, says a nation. History beckons. Steve-O, is this the moment we've waited a generation for?
Well, they've never gotten a better opportunity for many, many years, and they realised that. They knew that they were very poor indeed in that second test. They let the nation down, they let themselves down. They're fully aware of that. David Waite has just been positive all through the week, and I think we will see a different performance from Great Britain. And I think they have got to just ignore this fella, Bill Harrigan. They call him Hollywood down in Australia. I call him Bill Arrogant. But he will, and I'm sure, take control early. If it means giving away a few penalties for a little bit of rough stuff, so be it. We have to give it to the Australians. We must unsettle them.
Referee Bill Harrigan blows the whistle. The 2001 Ashes deciders underway. Huge roar from the crowd. And first tackle, and that's a good chase, and led by Fielden. And Britain dominating at the tackle. That's what they want from the very first whistle, and that's what we're getting.
Well, the Great Britain squad said that they hoped that the loyal crowd would be behind them, but the crowd realised they've got to have something to cheer for, and this is a good start. Can they keep it going?
Well, the last thing the Australians wanted, this is Jason Stevens, who of course was suspended from last week. The last thing that Britain want is for them to get the ball out wide early, and the kick downfield is on the bounce to Wellens, and Britain with first use of the football for the first time.
Not the best kick. They applied the pressure, something that they certainly failed to do at Bolton in that second test, but that's also good defence.
Badouris all over the top of Johnson. Forshaw gets the ball away to McDermott. McDermott spun and tried to offload in the tackle.
Australians very quick out of the blocks, extremely quick. They showed their defensive qualities as well as their attacking skills, in that win last week.
This is Chris Joynt now, driving the ball in. Kennedy is in there, so too Badouris. It's the fifth and last for Great Britain this set of 6. It's with Deacon. The kicking from him will be so important. That's